Reveal Group is an organisation that specialises in intelligent automation. We are leaders in our field. Intelligent automation is all we do. It's reflected in the relationship that we have with Blue Prism in the fact that we are leading in that space in terms of our platinum capability and our platinum delivery accreditation. We are recognised by our vendors and by our clients as a safe pair of hands when it comes to intelligent automation.
Reveal Group is an organization that is committed to helping clients rapidly and successfully scale their intelligent automation programs so they can help them achieve sustainable business performance improvements. And we do that by building the processes and capabilities jointly with them.
The last 12 months have put even more pressure on organisations like ourselves and Blue Prism to deliver. Organisations across the world have seen the benefit of automation, but they've also recognised that they're not as ready as they need to be to really reap the reward of automation. So we have been asked more than ever to lean in with our partners, to lean in with our clients, to try to help them scale more quickly and to extract value more rapidly as well. And that is likely to continue for quite some time to come.
To me, RPA program Nirvana is a well-oiled machine of finding opportunity within an organisation, turning that opportunity into delivery and producing business results that are sustainable and maintainable. I think true nirvana is reached within an organisation when RPA is just another tool in the toolkit, and it's sort of part of the BAU of the business. Is okay, we've got a new process to build. Is it something that we can use automation to structure and then use human intervention at certain points to make it really efficient?
Organizations see intelligent automation as a core capability in terms of how they run and transform their businesses, not as a one-off fad, but as a core capability, and that their employees see intelligent automation as an aid that they can leverage rather than a threat to their jobs and their roles.
We worked with a logistics client years ago, and their primary goal for automation when they started was to stop their people working on a mainframe application. They had a particular mainframe application that was particularly painful. Whilst it was stable, people didn't like using it, and their goal was initially to automate all of the processes that touch that mainframe system so their people never had to use it again, and put like that middleware layer. From there were lots of other objectives that came out, but their initial objective was really to take that mainframe out of operation. I think honesty is really important. If you have set objectives on why you're bringing in automation, be honest with yourself and be honest with the enterprise. And along with that, try to get something that's consistent through your whole enterprise. So the same up as it is down. So don't go and tell your executives that you're doing this for cost out, and tell all your employees that you're doing it for employee experience. If you can stay consistent, everyone's on the same page, you're finding the right opportunities to automate to make sure you're getting to that vision and strategy, you'll find success.
First, they have to have engagement, and it's multiple engagement to explain what the capabilities are, what the limitations are, and help them envisage what is coming down the line in terms of how they can use this capability. The second part of it is actually seeing it in action, whether in small proofs in their own organizations, or increasingly we see peer companies, especially in the middle market here in North America, talking to peers about their experience, and actually see by visiting and seeing how other people have done it and what their experience is once it's in place. The third is, I think, you get stakeholder engagement and acceptance if you integrate it within existing processes. For example, integrate it into the agile approach that the IT department and the businesses are already using. Don't make it a new process totally, make it interwoven with the processes and the culture that you already have to do transformation. And the fourth, which seems pretty simple, is you have to continually link it to performance outcomes and performance metrics. The old, if it gets measured and assessed, it will get done. And increasingly, I think organizations are realizing to make this happen successfully, early on, you have to draw that link that we're not just building bots, but we're doing things that are going to move the metrics of our business.
Platform scalability will impact RPA success in a number of ways. Firstly, we can look at business outcomes. When the automation that runs business critical processes slow down or stops, it'll negatively impact the business. This can be in terms of client experience, whereby the client's busy interacting with your business and suddenly your response is very slow or you don't respond at all, which will stop them from doing business with you. And secondly, it could harm your employee experience in that work that was done by a robot, which usually is repetitive and quite mundane, now has to be performed by staff members again, which could cause them to have to work overtime.
A lot of times we've seen clients who have just started off, just don't look at the future and look at what's important to get things done immediately. And that's fine. You would get some quick runs on the boat, but very soon they realize that their platform is not built for a scalable enterprise-grade solution. And at that point, backtracking and going back to figuring out what needs to be done is, the overhead is immense. You might as well start from scratch, and all the effort and time that's put in to set up that existing is gone down the drain.
The reason that the speed of automation matters is it's one of its biggest advantage over the other sort of alternative options. So it is really bringing the return of investment, the benefits to the business as fast as we can, but also it is really the benefit over other IT solutions that usually takes up to a year to do in an enterprise. So it's the uniqueness of the RPA is the ability to move really fast.
The things you probably want to look out for are disconnects. So you really want to have all your stakeholders on the same page. This is ranging from the business to IT and aligned to the program's vision, the broader strategic agenda, but also your business objectives. To be successful, you probably want to involve all the right people with skills that are broad across broaching curiosity, problem solving, and not just technical capability, but also the ability to communicate change effectively. Internal capability should be more than just training for those technical skills, but for developing what we like to call an automation first culture. So the ability to see and manage and identify opportunities for the hybrid workforce that you're trying to work towards.
Operations and support is something that is often forgotten in the initial excitement around beginning an automation program. It's actually one of the most important features because it is the part of the program where the value that has been created through the build and through the process of discovery actually turns into a reality. And what we see is that a number of organisations don't put as much effort into support and operations, that is maintaining their footprint, as they do in actually building. We would strongly encourage, and we strongly encourage with our clients, how do we build the right kind of support framework, the right kind of operational framework to drive more and more value, because it's actually in that phase of the automation life cycle where we start to really reap the benefit of continuous improvement and that continuous refinement of processes so that we continue to scope and grow the value that can be generated by our footprint, by that automation footprint.
Well, I think benefit realization goes wrong for two reasons. One is during the process of looking at opportunities for automation, doing the automation and rolling it out, people don't spend enough time understanding how teams really work in that area, how work is allocated and managed over a period of time. In areas like contact centers where automation has been rolled out, this has actually been more successful because people have done a lot of thinking about how you manage workloads, temporary workers, full-time workers, how you pass that. I think as you've talked about more processes in either shared services or in middle and back offices, organizations aren't as effective at thinking about how that team workload is allocated. I think we're more sensitive to that because Reveal Group started as an operations consulting firm. Our first product was actually Operations IQ, which can help and team with a lot of the things you do in intelligent automation because it helps clients understand what's going on in the middle and back office and what teams do. The second reason people don't get benefit realizations is because the CFOs don't understand how to make, and their teams make the link between what's being saved through automation and where that should show up in the financial statements. But as they go, they're getting more and more sophisticated and understanding how they can actually bake those benefits in to the business plans of their business units. And some of our most sophisticated clients are thinking about benefit realization on not only OpEx, but on all multiple other dimensions and doing a very good job of tracking that. But if you don't have that kind of discipline of understanding where the benefits will show up, you won't get the benefits. So it's understanding the teamwork and then the rigor and the discipline to link it back to the performance metrics that you track for the business.
I think it's really important to get the basics of RPA right first. We've seen lots of amazing technologies that we can tack onto RPA, give our digital workers additional skills. But I think the trick is don't do it too early. Get the RPA capability behind you, get some really good automation producing strong ROI, buy yourself that little bit more time and effort and do things right. And then really make sure you've got the right use case. So don't just bring in AI because you want to bring in AI. Really find the right use case, make sure there's value in that use case, and then you can start expanding your toolkit and bring those different AI, ML technologies into your digital workforce. Introducing additional AI, ML technologies into your digital workforce allows you to really expand the scope of automation. A classic example is using sort of ML, NLP type technologies. Instead of automating sort of the back office bit, you can really start reaching out into the front office. So a classic example is we can start automating as soon as we receive a request from our client. We can take sentiment, we can take intent out of different communication that's coming in. We can push that through to where it is needing to be worked by a digital worker in the back office. And then we can maybe come all the way back out and reach back out to our customer. So it helps us really move away from that pure back and middle office, really allows us to go to the front office and start interacting with our clients and using our digital workforce end to end.
Unfortunately, I've seen quite a lot of bills that could have been done better, that needed to have been done better. And generally, the cause of that is always the same. It's a lack of training, it's a lack of consistency, it's a lack of applying better practices, it's a lack of understanding how that automation doesn't sit in a silo, that automation sits in a broader tapestry of other opportunities. And when you start to think about it in that way, you start thinking about how do I achieve reusability of objects? How do I ensure that what I'm doing today is going to have value in 1 year, 2 year, 5 years time? That's what I often see the most limiting factors and what I describe as the worst kind of builds. They're the ones that weren't done with forethought, weren't done in a context of a broader picture. And unfortunately, they can't scale. And when they can't scale, the investment that's been made atrophies.
Worst solution I've ever seen was one that was a process that took the existing team about 15 minutes to do per case, let's just say per case. And it was a team of 10 people. The solution that was provided somehow took each bot or digital worker 60 minutes, and so therefore required 4 times as much time and effort to complete as the human version. So the automation had done the exact opposite of what automation was supposed to do, and it somehow made the process less efficient. It was also very, very unstable and had a lot of infinite loops in it, so it would get hung up for days at a time.
Doing a blueprint for scale assessment a couple of years ago, and the client should not be named, we came across a very good use case for automation. It was around the 15 FTE effort. The process had been automated. The automation was so unstable that the support and management team supporting it in production was actually greater than the FTE that did the process before it was automated. It was a very poorly built automation. It was a group of automations tacked together, no best practice, no templates. And really it was costing the company more money to run the automation now that it was running with digital workers, which of course is not the objective.
One comes to mind. This was a government client, and we were doing a review of their platform, and the number of, it was even worse than what I would do for an installation on my laptop. It was that bad. And this was their production platform at a government client. When we saw it, we just couldn't make sense of it, because a lot of best practices were missing right straight off the bat, and it seemed like it was someone's playground sort of environment and not obviously an enterprise platform. There was
one that we were able to deliver an automation with about 5 weeks, but it took the IT platform and advanced infrastructure twice that amount to sort of get the things moving. So it speaks to the speed of the delivery and how much it's faster than the traditional processes that we have in IT, as well as we delivered an automation in one of our other clients, and by the time we were live and they were using the automation, they were just going back to see if this was actually saving them time or not.
An early process for an organization where they were scheduling something just to trigger off macros. So probably would have been much better using the native interface to achieve the same things. And it really lacked the robustness of, if one of these macros failed, there was no ability to retry it. So essentially it was reverting to manual scheduling anyway. So it was a nice try, but probably not the best use of the automation capability.
Okay, so to give you a very brief overview of RoboReview and how it works, I'm currently logged into the RoboReview portal, and because I'm logged in, it knows who I am, and obviously it knows the date because it's a computer. What I need to do to submit my code for review is tell RoboReview what stage I'm up to in the delivery life cycle. We have this here because we apply slightly different rules. For instance, in development, we don't provide a score because it's going to be an incomplete solution, whereas in testing and production, we do provide a score. So I'm going to select production. I'm going to select demo as my release version. You can just write whatever you want in there for your own purposes, for reporting purposes. And then I attach my release file, which I've exported from Blue Prism, and that release file contains the code that I want to review. Click open. RoboReview then pulls apart that release and shows you the objects and processes that are within that release so that you can select all or one of them for review. If I'm a developer and I've only been building one object for the day, potentially I just want to select that one. But for this particular demonstration, we'll select all of them. Why not? I click submit, I double confirm. And what that's doing now is it's actually skimming that release file to make sure that there's no sensitive information in there. And if there is, it will strip that out, and then it sends out just the raw code to be reviewed to the RoboReview engine. What happens then is I receive an email from RoboReview with my release information attached, a breakdown of all of the components and the various scores that I have for those components, and the errors and warnings attached. There's also a more detailed report attached, which is where the real value is here. And if I open that report, you'll see a very similar dashboard in terms of a breakdown of the processes. So we have the process create quotes here and our objects with their various scores. So you can see that they're not super high scoring, these components. What we would shoot for is at least 85, but we recommend a minimum of 90% score. What that represents is a 90% plus means that the process has no major issues that will stop a production run. So there's no infinite loops in there. All the passwords are protected. All logging is switched to the right levels, all that sort of thing. A 90% plus indicates that it is going to be a stable production process, and maybe there's some small aesthetic things that need to be fixed. With a lower score like this, there's probably some fairly major issues we need to fix, but the benefit of Robo Review is that it will tell you exactly where they are. So as a developer, what I would do is I would go to my errors and warnings list here. And my goal effectively as a developer, as I'm building out my process and my objects, is to clear the red. So for every single one of the errors found, it tells you exactly where that error is and what you need to do to fix it. And so you go through there, fix all of these, and as you fix the red items, which are the errors, your score will improve, the stability and quality release will improve, and you can be safe in the knowledge that it will be a production process that is sustainable, secure, and scalable.